The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, December 30th, 2024, season 20, episode number 94. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. All right, today we've got talk about that game yesterday. It was a bad one for the Cowboys, about as bad as it's been all season. They lose 41-7 after what seemed to be a pretty what's the right word? Encouraging first quarter. In the first quarter, it seemed like they were actually playing pretty decent football, and then it seemed like the wheels just fell off this thing.
Game flipped when Calcaterra caught the 34-yard pass. We could talk about the 3rd and 1 miss down the field.
Yeah.
But I think the Calcaterra play kind of woke Kellen Moore up, woke Pickett up, woke the Eagles offense up a little bit. They had been struggling. Dallas had played pretty well in the run defense. Really hadn't gotten gashed with Barkley. Kellen Moore did you a favor the first series of the game. He went 3 straight passes with a backup quarterback, and I'm like, God, I love you, Kellen Moore.
Miss you. Well,
Yeah,
not really, but yeah.
Yeah, but the Calcaterra play.
Kinda. I mean, the way the system went.
No, I guess what I mean more by that is that was the thing that in Dallas I think most people were upset about, was that he would get into these rhythms where he just get away from the thing that worked.
Yes.
They know they had a running game, and he was just throwing the ball.
There were a couple of things in that game. Like I say, the Calcaterra play was big because it just opened things up for them. They're like, oh, okay, we could throw the ball down the field. The second thing was they figured out that, listen, we're going to get a matchup with Bland on Brown, and Booth is going to cover Smith. And once they figured that out, then that was all bets were off. And then there were a couple different plays where they could have helped. They could have helped Booth. I for the life of me, I don't know why Mike Zimmer did this. I mean, there was the touchdown that Smith had, the first touchdown, where it was, to me, like he's dropping Hooker into like a deep look, but he's favoring him to the side of Brown, who's got Bland. The guy on the other side, Scott, needs the help. It isn't Bland. You put Bland over there for a reason. Why is Hooker opening to Brown's side and then have to spin his hips and try and get back? And Hooker's not a fast guy.
Right.
He's just not. He's just not going to play with a lot of range. And so to me, those are the things where we always talk about. Coaches say this, players say this. Got to put these players in position to make plays. You didn't. Yeah. On a couple of different occasions, you didn't do that. And the Calcaterra catch was a great play. I mean, it's a great catch. But yeah, there were plenty of plays in that game where you just had to say, okay, you weren't good enough.
Yep.
And it happened quite a bit.
Story of the game, Amber.
Say the turnovers, AG. Go ahead.
I mean, we've seen it before where, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, where it comes down to turnovers and who wins the turnover battle. And that typically the one who gets the most typically wins the game. And that was unfortunate. And McCarthy, he mentioned it after the game in the press conference. He talked about how he thought they had a good game plan, but it was difficult to execute some of the things that they had planned for when you couldn't just get there. And when you're turning over the ball that many times, it's just going to put you in a hole where you can't get out of. So that's essentially what happened. You weren't able to protect the ball, and 2 of those came because of Cooper Rush and him throwing 2 interceptions, and then the 2 other ones just were not necessarily his fault. So it's just, I don't really know what to say. Other than that, I will say, back to what you mentioned earlier, I was impressed of their ability to have been able to come back after that first interception and be able to score. That's something that we typically don't see them being capable of doing, just picking themselves back up in that way so quickly. Typically it takes maybe until the second half, but this time they were able to come back right away. And I'm with you. I thought, okay, it might be a competitive game here and it might stay close. And even if we lose, at least we saw that competitiveness. And it didn't happen that way. It quickly started declining. The game got completely away from them, and you just there's nothing they weren't able to do anything. And that's the most unfortunate part of it, is that honestly I expected them to go into that game losing because of how Philly's playing currently, despite everything. Even with Jalen Hurts out, you thought, okay, this is going to be competitive. But that's the part where they lacked, is just not able to keep up, prevent mistakes, and be able to put on a good show.
Yeah.
Were either one of you happen to be in the locker room when Turpin talked after the game?
Yeah, we were in there.
Did you hear what he said? Saad Youssef and Saad's of the Athletic.
Yeah.
This was one of his quotes. There actually had a thread that did this, and I'm just going to read. I'm quoting here. It's from Turpin on playing without CeeDee Lamb in this game, and I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on this real quick. He said, man, I just feel like at the end of the day with CeeDee gone, we weren't really calling no pass plays. We were just running the ball, throwing checkdowns. That's the plan in the receiver room. Yeah, we thought we were going to go out there and show people it ain't all about CeeDee. At the end of the day, we wasn't getting down, no downfield routes being called. We just had to see what we could do.
I heard that, and to be honest with you, I kind of blew it off a little bit because first of all, I don't think it's accurate. I was actually charting the number of downfield throws they had, and they had quite a few, especially
thought
in the first
it was
half.
more. That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that 3rd and 1, which we'll get to in a moment, when they decided to go downfield to Mingo. But I heard what you said. I just honestly I didn't think it was accurate. I thought they threw the ball downfield more. Now he may have been looking for specific plays. He may have even been looking for more specific plays for him. In that way, I could understand maybe what he's saying because the downfield throws weren't necessarily for him. But that being said, I thought they went downfield more. I don't think it was all just checks down.
I thought they went down more this time against Philly than they did the previous time.
Agreed, yeah.
And so I was just curious. I go, did he accurate? So that's accurately what he said.
Yeah, that's what I heard him say. Yeah,
okay.
Well, I think sometimes coming off a game and having to speak that quickly without you being able to go back and watch film just yet, you're answering based on what you lived yourself.
What your feel was.
What
feel of the game.
What you felt. How often did they target me? How often did my hands touch the ball? So it builds in that perspective.
Yeah.
So I don't fault him for saying what he said. So it's not a huge deal.
I don't think he has the perspective that we do. Like I was charting the game.
Yeah.
He wasn't charting the game. He was out there playing.
Yeah.
So he only has his perspective of what happened with him on specific plays. So I just I think he may have been looking at something differently than what we were looking at.
Yeah, I was just wondering because I didn't feel that way either. I felt now the first time around they played, sure. Yeah. I totally agree with him. That time, like watching the tape this morning, I didn't get the feeling that was the case.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. Mentioning Cooper Rush, he went 15 of 28, 54% completion. Not very good. Yeah. 147 yards. No.
I gotta see it with my eyes to believe it again. It's
2
unbelievable.
interceptions, a 50 quarterback rating.
Yeah.
What happened? Let's go back to the 2 interceptions. What do you think happened there, Brian, when you looked at those 2 interceptions?
Well, like I went back and I typed out my notes and stuff like that. So let me get to the pick 6. Okay, this is where it to me it appears to be man coverage. Yeah. With the free safety in the middle of the field. So they call it man free, is what they play. Man underneath, free safety in the middle of the field, and try and navigate that. I think with Gardner Johnson and Bond, the linebacker, I think they're doubling Ferguson on this play. I think they're going to play man, and they've determined they're going to double one guy. Mm-hmm. And like we talked about that leading up with no CeeDee Lamb, what could potentially happen? Take that guy away. Take this guy. So I think they're trying to take away Ferguson on this one. And I think that Rush likely feels like he's going to have a window to throw this when Ferguson breaks inside because they're running the slant behind behind that.
Yep.
So he's probably thinking that, okay, if Ferguson goes inside and they're doubling him, they're both going with him, and I'll have that window. But when Ferguson breaks inside, Gardner Johnson he didn't even react. He's looking, you could see on film, he's looking at Cooper Rush the whole entire time. There was nothing that took him away from, there was nothing for him. Now, I think he was just being a football player because he's staring down the quarterback, the ball, his man's going inside. He knows he's covered there with the route, with the linebacker Bond going inside. And Rush is thinking he's going to go with him, and he didn't go with him. And I think that's where Rush got fooled there. Yep. And Cooks really didn't have, it wasn't a clean route to get inside with anyway. But Gardner Johnson, there was no reason for him to move, especially when Cooper Rush was staring down the area, and he knew, guy going away, he's not throwing to him, guy behind him, yep, here comes the ball. And that's, I think, what happened on that pick six right there. Yeah, I agree with you.
It just seemed like he basically just didn't move. He thought he was going, and he didn't go with the first guy, and he just sat in that spot, and there you go.
Okay, the second interception, Cooks, the officials missed a play here because Cooks gets grabbed. Literally, you could see Mitchell grab his jersey like he's by him, but he has to grab him, and it slows Cooks down. It kind of makes Cooks have to turn, and he can't get up the field. His momentum stopped. Now the ball's already gone. And if he doesn't pull his jersey, there's going to be a chance because I don't think that Gardner Johnson playing in the middle of the field was going to get to the ball. If Cooks could have run, it could have been, wouldn't have been held. I think there was a chance that you probably could have made that play. But when he got held, it slowed him down. It slowed down his momentum, and he could. But the official to that side, the back judge to that side, missed a blatant holding call in that situation because the protection was outstanding, but that was just a really, really, really bad miss by the official right there because Cooks got held on the play.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate, but in that
happens
situation,
in the game.
It happens. Those kind of things happen. Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, I want to see how much you guys think CD was missed yesterday. Obviously, he's missed. You can't have a game where you don't miss your star player. But how much did that affect maybe some of the things that were happening in that game? It goes back to maybe what Turpin was saying.
Yeah.
How much did it affect them not having him in the game? We'll talk about that when we come back.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's stay in your car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break. We are live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. This segment is presented by blockchain.com. All right, let's talk about the offense a little deeper. The question I had for you guys was how much and in what ways did you see that they really missed CD yesterday in that game?
Well, to me, prior to him not even being on the field, he was about the only thing that the offense has. As far and this is taking now the time where now you're starting to build up that running game and including Rico Dowd in there, but operational wise in the passing game, this game was a clear show of you have to have CeeDee Lamb to be able to operate correctly. And that's taking into account how well that first quarter went for the Cowboys. But I think that the opposing team, they're able to adjust quickly and start targeting you how they need to target you. So to me, when you look at the mistakes that happen, you have your guy, your boy.
Which one?
What do you mean? Which one?
Turpin?
Ferguson.
Oh.
No, Ferguson.
His boy Ferguson.
Going back there.
I'm just saying.
Oh, she kind of looked over at me after he had the fumble, just kind of like I could feel her glare.
You want to be honest with you? That was Cooper Rush's fault.
It was?
Yeah. He had two.
I haven't gone back and looked at it. What did it look like?
He had two routes. He threw the ball. He should have never thrown the ball inside. He had Turpin downfield 18 yards wide open.
And that's probably what Turpin's talking about right there. That's probably what he was talking about after the game.
Excuse me, Tolbert.
Oh, okay.
Tolbert was open.
Okay, hold on. So
he threw the ball. He threw the ball. He threw the ball to Ferguson with 3 Eagle defenders inside on him. There was nobody within. I mean, Tolbert was standing. The play to me was designed. I felt like was designed to go to the outside to Tolbert, and he didn't throw the route. And Tolbert ran the out.
And he was open?
Wide open. He was standing 18 yards away. Oof. 18 yards away with nobody around him. And Rush moves to his right and throws the ball back inside. And what's happened now is there's 3 Eagle defenders that are right on Ferguson.
As soon as he turns.
As soon as he turns.
Yeah.
That's Cooper Rush, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like...
Okay, I take it back.
The route.
I take it back.
The route down the field should have been, the ball should have gone to and that's what happens when you get a guy that gets locked in. What you miss about having Lamb in the game, big plays. You miss the threat of having jet sweeps, run after catch, ball down the field. You know, you miss those. But if you got a quarterback that's not even going to throw balls where, like, I can understand Tolbert could have had a really big day yesterday catching footballs. And Cooper Rush, you know, when you watch the play, that play that Ferguson fumbles, you're going, what are you doing, bro?
So how many of those types of plays do you feel like they're where, like that happened? Where
Probably 3.
Okay.
Where they're designed to go somewhere. They're designed to go somewhere, and he throws somewhere else. He'll check it down, he threw the hardest ball you could throw to Ferguson. He made the hardest decision you can make. Like, the most difficult throw was to Ferguson. The easiest throw he could have made was to Tolbert. That's why you lose football games
think
right there.
Looking back at
one of the many things why you
the
lose
previous game against Tampa, I think that game it goes to show like the connection that Cooper Rush was finally being able to build with CeeDee Lamb. I mean, he was going to him play after play, and he had a very successful game in that aspect, and therefore was able also to find other targets as well. But then in this game, you go back to what is it? Undecisive?
Indecisive.
quarterback, where he's not fully aware of his reads, or like incapable of like really reading the field and what's happening, and you should be able to do that. And this wasn't a game where he didn't have the protection. He was protected pretty well. I thought the offensive line did a very decent job.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it goes back to, maybe you take this element that you now found some sort of comfort in, it's taken out, and now you're back into having to figure out, okay, shoot, like, who's gonna be my reliable guy here? And he wasn't able to do that. But we've seen that all these weeks where Cooper Rush, he does throw a ball like to an invisible person or something, like, no one's there, what are you doing here? And I'm sure we'll talk about the Mingo one. Poor Mingo, like, that guy.
Yeah, it's rare he gets a good ball. I think yesterday he got one ball that was catchable in my
12
opinion.
yards to the sidelines was the one he had that actually was a good route and a good play. I mean, they had it was 1st and 15, and he was able to kind of get where he needed to be and made a nice reception. But yeah, I mean, but you're playing with Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
You know, capable at some moments, but I think, you know, decision making, or how about awareness, you know, because I when we're in the break, I'm going to show you this play and you tell me if I'm wrong about.
I'm sure you're right.
About how open Tolbert was on the play and where he should have gone with the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, but he makes decisions like that. And you know, it's, to me also the 3rd and 1, that ball, the 3rd and 1 that goes down the field to Mingo, that's going to Mingo all the way. I mean, and even though, and I put this in my notes too, because when I was watching the play, I'm thinking, like, okay, what else could it do? Okay, the deep shot to Mingo, the ball was going to Mingo all the way, is what I said. He's got 3 options underneath. 3.
Was this on the 3rd and 1?
3rd and 1.
Yeah.
3rd and 1. Yeah. He's got 3 options underneath that he could have gone to just to keep the sticks going, just to keep the ball moving down the field. You know, and this is why sometimes I hate shotgun football. I tweeted it out, got murdered by people, you know, like, oh, it's, you know, yeah, you're right. There were options. The play was designed. It was a stutter go for Mingo to try, and they're going to take a shot. If you do that on 3rd and 1 and don't get it, you're telling me you're going for it on 4th down.
Right.
He punted.
Right.
He punted on his side of the field. You know, you're telling me right then and there, you take that deep shot on a stutter go, and actually they were doing it to both sides. He could have thrown it. He could have thrown to Cooks on the other side, or he could have thrown to Mingo, which he did. But he also could have thrown to Ferguson underneath, got the 1st down inside. He could have checked the ball down to Elliott, who nobody was covering him. He could have checked it down to him, got a 1st down, didn't do it. The play was called. It was double stutter go, and he took the Mingo route, and you know, and that's. McCarthy in the post, I think you guys were probably working in the locker room. Maybe you didn't hear his conversation. Maybe you're scrambling to get on the bus. He says, well, the wind could have been a factor. Okay, there's a couple of things that are taught here. If the ball goes to the sidelines, you teach quarterback to throw it to the sideline so only his guy can get it, or it's going to be out of bounds. Did Cooper Rush do that? Maybe. Or the way that, because Mingo never looked to the outside.
Right.
Everything
until the ball was already up.
He was looking inside the whole way, and he's won. He is one on the outside. If the ball is inside, Gardner Johnson's not going to get there. It's going to be a huge play in the game.
He had like 2 yards separation. I mean, he had some separation.
He had some serious separation there. So McCarthy's like, well, you know, because Clarence Hill asked him about it, and well, the wind could have been a factor and all that. But I was kind of hearing that they were pissed. They were pissed. The coaches, I mean, they were pissed at the way that the ball was thrown.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, you asked me earlier, what other could, you know, get the 1st down. Just get the 1st down. If you know, but the play was called. They poorly the play doesn't get executed. Now I'm thinking, well, geez, he's going to go for it on 4th down.
My thing is you haven't shown to be able to make anything work with Mingo so far, for whatever the reason, whether the pass is thrown bad or whatever. But he hasn't been a reliable target, even though at times he's well positioned and everything is just maybe the ball is not thrown well or whatever. So in a situation like that, it just makes me be like, okay, then why is that your option? You know, rather than go to everybody else that you mentioned that seemed to be open.
But
No
you know
CeeDee
something?
Lamb. That's no CeeDee
Honestly,
Lamb there right there.
I had no problem with any of that sequence until they don't convert the 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
They get to 4th and 1, and they punt. Because my thought is, like,
why'd you do that?
Why'd you do it? Right.
Yeah.
Why would you call
a double move?
Because I said to Nick, right, when they did it, I was like, well, of course they're going for it on 4th down. That's why they do that. You take a shot on 3rd. Because, by the way, they've been running well in 3rd and short.
Yeah.
So maybe they thought, okay, we can catch them right here. They're going to load up and try to stop the run here on 3rd and 1. So let's try to get them downfield. It actually worked. The receiver was open. You just missed the throw.
Yeah.
Fine. You're going to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
But to not go for it, not go for it on 4th down, it almost said to me like that wasn't a well thought out 3rd down and 1.
No,
because
it's
the
like
two don't fit.
you're taking a chance
right.
to maybe hit a home run.
Right.
But you got to plan like I'm going to go for it if I don't
Either
get
way.
it. Exactly.
And I just thought that was the part that I just didn't understand why you would do one and not do the other.
Yeah.
Or if you're not going to go for it, then take the easy, just move the chains, and we keep the drive going.
Keep the ball, keep the downs going. Keep the key. You know, that's the problem I have. You go like you say, if you're going to have a plan, have a plan. I think he had a plan until it was incomplete. And then his plan became, okay, punt.
Yeah.
That became his plan, which then in that case, you just killed yourself with an opportunity.
Right.
You
That's
know?
exactly right. I just thought it's almost like, you know, when you're in these games, you have to be planning a few plays ahead.
Yeah.
You don't call a play in isolation.
Right.
The plays are to set up other plays or
Right.
to advance other plays that you're going to call later.
Right.
Let's go ahead and take our final break. We're going to come back. I do want to talk a little bit about Rico Dowdle. He surpasses the 1,000 rushing yard mark for the season. We'll talk about that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T connecting changes everything.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's talk about Rico Dowdle. He was 23 carries for 104 yards yesterday, a 4.5 average. He did have the one fumble, but he surpassed the 1,000 rushing yard mark for the season. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but did they just wait too long to get him involved in this thing? Like, you look at it now and you're like, they had opportunities.
They're different offense with him.
They had an opportunity to do this earlier in the season, and they just didn't.
They didn't. And it's unfortunate, and I'm really looking forward to the autopsy at the end of this thing. I kind of have an idea of how the patient died. But there could be some other complications other than
right.
You know.
That's why you got to do the autopsy.
That's why you do the autopsy. It's like,
yeah.
well, we thought he died of a heart attack, but no, he actually died of.
He was actually poisoned.
Yeah, he was murdered.
Right.
But no, this is where, this offense, and let's be honest, the offensive line wasn't good enough initially.
Facts.
Facts. You're talking to your daughter again, Aaron?
Yeah.
My son says the same thing.
It happens.
Dad, facts. And I'm like, my dad.
That took you by surprise. You kind of like looked up like
my son had a really interesting conversation. He and I went to dinner the night. He was telling me about if you hire a coach, what you need. He says, what you want to do is hire a head coach that wears joggers, the joggers, those pants, those short pants. And he says, on defense, you want to have an old, crusty veteran guy. Yeah,
is that how you should?
That's how you do it. That's what your coaching staff. He goes, offense, you want the guy, the coach that wears the joggers. On defense, you want the old, crusty veteran guy. So I was just thinking, well,
okay,
yeah. So
not a bad analysis.
No,
pretty good.
And Jesse Holly actually texted me and said, he goes, man, I think the same thing.
Yeah,
give me these coaches that wear those jogger pants. They're the ones that calling all the really good plays.
Yeah,
But anyway. Yeah, I think when we do the autopsy is our coach doesn't wear joggers, and that's the thing about it is that we talk about this, but the offensive line wasn't good enough. The right guard wasn't good enough. He was really banged up. The right tackle was struggling. The point of attack blockers. It took Schoonmaker to almost be inactive every week before he got the message like, bro, you got to block. You got to block a little bit here,
Yep.
And so. Hoffman went in there. Bass went in there. They had different combinations. They started playing Chuma Doga at tackle. They got a little bit better combinations there. But I kind of felt like that. Yeah, it was late. We're a little late to the party there. We're late to the party and we didn't show up with anything in our hands. Not even a bag of ice.
Yep.
We were real late to the party here when it came to all this.
Yep.
I'm just thinking of our tailgating food talk. Referring back, you're like, you didn't bring even a bag of ice to the party?
Yeah, listen,
empty-handed?
Yeah, you show up to a party.
You brought a six-pack just for yourself?
Yeah, and that's another one. That is another one. Don't just show up if it's like a tailgate. You show up with just a six-pack. You can go to the
and
next
you drink 8.
Yeah, exactly. No, you put yours in there and you're drinking everybody else's beer and you're leaving the bad beer.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, but no, Rico Dowdle, he had the 23 attempts. 10 of those were successful runs against that defense. That was, so.
Which is really good against that defense.
4.5 yards a carry. Yeah.
And congratulations to him and what he was able to accomplish this season. I wish it would have happened sooner. And it's also one of those things that it sucks that it happened in this game too, because you see who the other running back is and you see what they just celebrated on the sideline for. And at that moment where everybody congratulated him and stopped the game a little bit there, I'm like, I told Nick, I'm like, all right, if Rico hits his mark, are we stopping the game to congratulate
I'll tell you what, though.
And that's not a I'm not trying to talk crap. It's great for him in his situation, but it's just, it sucks when it happened in a game like that and the other running back that you're facing
doubled it.
Philadelphia ran the ball like Dallas did in the first 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Gainwell have an average of 1.3. Kenny Pickett, 2.3 for Davis Price. They had some bad rushing numbers. Take Barkley out of it, it's like you've crushed them in the running game. But Barkley, it took him 31 carries to get 167 yards. I mean, it's 5 yards.
And really, a lot of it happened in the second half.
The
first half, it wasn't. They weren't really getting the big chunk runs.
No. Yeah. I mean, Dallas did a pretty good job with the run stuffs. They had 4 of them. But half his runs were successful. 31, 16 successful runs. That's four more yards a carry.
What did they struggle most, though? if you look at how they were stopping the run, particularly in the second half, where were they having struggles?
They were getting the pin and pull stuff, the old Arizona Cardinal.
There we go. Yeah, all the way back to the Arizona game.
It's like it's like all of a sudden it's down, and two guys around, and now blockers are fighting. They struggled inside with the linebackers. They got guys that got hooked, and the down guys got blocked. The edges got hooked. It was they started to kind of figure out. Initially, it was like they were trying to kind of run the ball inside, and Dallas was doing a pretty good job. But then the ball bounced. There was a run that one of his first long runs. I think it went for 22 or 3 yards. This shows you how poor Booth. I mean, he had a chance to come up and fill in the hole, and he hesitates. And as soon as he hesitated, Barkley bounced.
Yep.
I mean, it's like Lewis did a great job of keeping his outside shoulder free and squeezing the play. And he squeezed it. If he would have squeezed it to, say, Donovan Wilson, it's a gain of 2. He squeezed it to Booth, it's a gain of 22.
Yep.
That's the problem.
We had a question from Roderick Douthat. He says, "Why is Booth still playing cornerback?"
Yeah,
we talked about, but we talked about in last week. We talked about going into this game. Would you go with Mukuamu more than him just because he's a bigger, longer guy? They didn't choose to do that.
You can only work with what you have. And last time they listened to me, Derek, was 2005. And so that's I bring it up. I would have gambled. I would have gambled on maybe interchanging Izzy and changing Lewis from inside to outside. Okay, if you're committed to taking Brown out of the game with Bland, now let's deal with the other two. And they didn't even have Dallas Goedert in this game.
Yeah.
So you didn't really have to worry about that.
And Jordan would have battled with Smith.
He would have battled with Smith. Jordan would have battled with Smith, and you would have felt better.
Yeah.
You would have felt better. Like if Jordan Lewis is getting beat by Smith, you're like, just a better man today. Yeah. Just a better man.
Tip your cap and move on. Yeah.
But you can't, and it got to the end, and what do they do? And I said it on our halftime show, and me and Wolchuk, I said, Mike Zimmer's proven one thing. He is not going to let Booth continue out there and continue to get beat.
Yeah.
And eventually they did. They took him out and they put Pride in. And there's like Wolchuk looked at me and goes, "Who's Pride?" And I said, "Well, he got called up today." You know? And he's like,
and then got kicked out of the game.
And then got kicked out of the game. So give him some credit for being a little feisty about it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
So last week we were talking about, okay, let's see what happens in the last 2 weeks of the season as far as preparation. And that's where it comes down to, because they showed up even though they were eliminated. They played Tampa with a really good game plan and went in there and played really well. Now, looking back, and I was happy that we were off on Wednesday, don't get me wrong, but I was all about it. But looking at the changes, because this is something that typically doesn't happen on the side of football, they gave the players that day completely off, and they kind of did a switch around.
Yeah, I was about to say, they didn't get an extra day off. Basically, they just take their normal day off on Tuesday. Moved it to Wednesday, so they practiced on Tuesday, off on Wednesday, back to practice on Thursday.
So technically, you still have
Eagles did the same thing.
days.
Yeah.
But I'm saying...
They did.
But maybe that's how they started kind of slow, too, But they were able to adjust.
Two really good receivers.
Yeah.
But my point is, aside from you missing CeeDee Lamb, I'm looking at preparation, even with making it switch like that, which, again, I was very happy for and all for it. But sometimes when you switch schedules around or whatever, I'm just asking
Honestly,
the question as far as preparation leading up to.
If they would not have switched things around, I still think it turns out the
result?
same way. But here's why. It's for the same reason that you're pointing to, which is, I think, and I thought Nick's article did a really good job of laying this out yesterday. It's as though, like, it is human nature. When they went into that Tampa game, they'd practice all week with the anticipation that
they were still alive.
If we play well, we have a chance. And so we're going for it. We're giving it all we got. That fell flat. They've played the game. Great. But this is one of those where you lose during the week.
The individual.
And that's not even if their days would have been the same last week, I still think it's hard for me to believe that on Christmas Day, even if you go to practice, are you going to have a crisp practice? Are you really there, or is your mind really back at home with your little kid you just left opening Christmas presents with, right? Your family's in town. You're not with your family. Is your head really in it? When you finish practice, Are you going to stick around and watch some film or do that extra stuff that you would do if you were playing for something? Maybe not. And again, this is not pointing to anyone necessarily as much as it's just saying in general, the natural tendency for people is that this time of the year, you slow down a little bit.
Well, I think that's
you
where the preparation
and,
took a hit because I'll admit it, like even I was walking around the building with my eyes half closed. It's what happens
natural.
during that week.
And then on top of that, and I think this may have been even more of a problem, not a problem, but something that probably affected them, is when they shut CD down.
That's it.
I think it's mentally it becomes a mental thing that we're kind of waving the white flag.
We're done.
And they did. You guys all agreed this was what they needed to do with CD.
Yeah.
But you combine that with this time of the year and all the distractions that happen around the holidays, and you got eliminated from the playoffs last week, and then CD's out. And you're looking around like, who's left? Because Dak's gone, Tank's gone. All these players you're missing. I just think this was just a culmination of all those things, and it just fell apart.
This was the final straw, as they say.
Yeah.
When CD was put on injured reserve, that's when, and listen, you're around the holidays, you're right. You're around the families. I mean, we've seen this done both ways since we've been here. We've seen coaches that give them the morning off, practice in the afternoon. We've seen coaches that have practiced in the morning, giving them the
Act
afternoon.
like it's a regular day, yeah.
You try. I mean, you work holidays. That's part of what you do. It's part of what you sign up for. We all do that. And I think that not so much the Christmas. I think the Eagles are a good football team. Yep. Don't get me wrong. I think they're very well coached when it comes to Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio and what they do. They've got a really good roster. Yeah. That was going to be a hard game to win. I didn't think they were going to win it, and I know we didn't predict the score, but I wasn't. If I had to, I wasn't. I mean, I said Philadelphia 26, Dallas 13 on the pregame show. I didn't think they were going to win this football game, but you know what? It really. I think when they saw CD go out, they looked at each other and said, "What more can happen to us this year? What more? The one element do we have that's a legitimate all-pro type player? Now we have, now. And I think that's what got this team. I think you also get into like survival mode too. You do not want to get hurt these last couple. And it's not that they didn't try or they quit or anything like that. You just don't want to get hurt in week 17. You just don't, because that turns into, well, now I might miss the season or, but they played really well the first quarter. I mean, to answer that pick six back with a touchdown, it gave you hope that like, okay, there's still some fight in here and all that. But when they started giving up plays and the team's looking at it and they're like, damn, we're playing with 7 different corners now. And Booth's out there and we're getting beat, and it's frustrating.
But that also plays into like my thought of what happened. Is as the game started steamrolling, it almost felt like you could feel just here's where we are. Like this is who we are.
This is who we are.
We don't have any way to fight back. And it almost felt like that versus this. Oh, we can still do this. I think at the beginning of the game, you kind of had some hope, and they may have had some hope. And then when it started to fall apart, it just, you
knew Barkley was going to get the ball and you couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm surprised they took him out. I'm surprised they didn't try and just in the fourth just keep running him and get that thing to where it was like.
I'm interested what they do this next week.
Yeah. He's got to get 100 yards by half is really what he's got to do. Against the Giants. And boy, that's what a nightmare for Giant fans. What a nightmare.
That owner in New York, you saw what he said in the Hard Knocks. He's probably going to be so upset.
I wouldn't go to the game.
Yeah, that's a hard one to watch.
I'd miss that.
That is a hard one to watch.
But
speaking of, did you guys see on social media where Jerry was sitting?
Yeah, they got after him. They got after him.
I didn't see it. What happened?
But like where he was sitting, the suite is so weird because it's out in the open, basically.
Yeah, the crowd.
And you have the fans right in your face, like literally right in your face, and everybody's just booing and yelling, and like Jerry's just sitting there looking straight, and all these fans are literally right this
turning
close.
And yelling. I mean, we know how the press boxes.
That must have been
fans.
so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And Jerry keeps the windows open on that thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's tough. That's a tough way to go.
I just thought it was very weird for an owner to be sitting in a position like that.
This weekend have something to play for to be the 6th seed. It'll be interesting to see how they, I was thinking if they had things wrapped up, how would Mike play us? Mike seems to be much like an honor guy, play till the end. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you get these teams that like will mail it in at the end, at the very end, and it'll be like a preseason game. I kind of think that if Mike would have continued to play this with trying to win, just to make sure the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
How many times have you been in a situation, well, so-and-so has to win, and there's like, there's no way in hell they're going to win. They're not even going to try today.
Right.
I think Mike's the opposite of that.
Yeah.
I think Mike is going to try and win. I'll be interested to see if he starts Trey Lance, though.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, will Washington play? Will they decide?
Is there a point to even start Trey Lance at this point?
If you want to,
I think it's clear. In my opinion, I just think it's clear that they just don't have much faith in him.
No, that's probably right.
I mean, because if they did, there's been every reason for them to get him more involved in the game. They just haven't. So the only thing I'm left to believe is that they just don't.
Commanders have something to play for because they could be the 6th seed. If they win, they're the 6th seed. If they lose and Green Bay wins, they could be the 7th seed.
And
now,
they'll
go to Philly. If you're the 6th seed, you go to play the Rams. The Rams have been struggling to score some points here of late.
Yeah.
So who do you want? And besides that, with everything being crazy the way it is, if you're the 6th seed and all of a sudden it falls funny where all the top teams that are they lose games, you want to be in the best position to host a game. Didn't the Rams do that one year when they went to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Like everything fell apart. Next thing you know, the Rams are on the road, and then they get to host the NFC Championship game.
There's a weather part to that too. Having to go to Philly, you don't know what you're going to get weather-wise.
That's a great point.
Versus having to go to L.A., where you know it's going to be 72 degrees
indoor,
with no
dry.
Weather. You're inside. Yeah. You know that.
Washington has a reason to play this week. They really, really do.
Yeah.
Whether they want to go to Philly or go to the Rams.
Yep. All right. We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll start moving forward.
It's
Brian
good for
will
all
have
you
some
people that
questions
want to
for
draft,
us.
by the way.
Well, we'll have a lot of questions. Yeah. I'm sure Brian will have for us tomorrow. We might do a whole show of Brian's brain and what kind of questions he can come up with. We'll see.
Just you and I and Tommy tomorrow.
Right. We're doing. A lot of people have decided they're leaving us, so it's gonna.
I was replaced like this. Boom. Nothing.
It's gonna be a whole different.
No
group
value
tomorrow.
here.
But definitely we'll be back tomorrow. Till then, for Bryan Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!